Hey everyone, welcome to my studio. This week I will be starting on the final of the 4 evangelists, St. John, and I'm going to start with the eyes. But before I've done all that, I did go ahead and check the measurements against the field verification to make sure that it will fit in the niche on the wall that it is being made for. So now that that's done, I can go ahead and get started. I have to start on these eyes, and it's kind of hard to see what's going on. When I look at my reference photo, you can see how dark I've made them there. And I just want to show the lion's eyes for a second. There's the lion's eyes, quite light. So I am going to make them a little bit brighter than this with some yellow in there. That's it. Work on my little sunflower. So I have pulled some pre-cut feather cuts that I used in other sunflowers, and I'm going to blend the colors, but there will be some bright yellow, so I might cut some more. I'm going to use silicone because I do have some mirror in here that I might use, and it needs neutral cure, so I can't use thinset. I need the neutral cure that silicone provides. And if you are a little bit, I know not everybody likes silicone because it's messy. And I will say that I try to work neatly, but I do have wipes with me. So if you have an issue with silicone and making a mess with silicone, I recommend getting some wipes, keep them by your side. The second you notice that the silicone is getting where it shouldn't be, grab a wipe and clean everything. Clean the glass, the tools, your hands, wherever, the tube, wherever it happens to get, and just clean it all up, because once it dries, it's a real headache to clean up. So I like to clean it up before it dries. That's it. Start with a touch of some different reds. So I've just pulled some pieces from the bag, and I have some that have a flat edge, and I have some that are regular feather cuts, such as this. And I've separated them out because when I'm starting next to the middle, I need the pieces that are flat so that they sit flat against there. So I'm just going to put a few of these red pieces on each petal, and then I'll move into some oranges and yellows. ready to get started on the feathers around this face, and I made each of these features just a little bit bigger than I had actually drawn them, just because I know that the head is going to be bigger. Here's my reference, and the feathers are brown and dark brown. It might look black there, but it's all brown, trust me. It just happens to be a photocopy of the actual. So let me show you my glass. First of all, I have this nice, rich, dark brown. It is very, very dark. It's a mixture of brown and black. The other side of it is bumpy. So that is a nice base color. Then I have some more medium browns. That one. This one is a little bit more on the red side. This one has some greens in it. And I kind of like the greens. It adds a little bit of color from a distance. You won't notice it. And it will tone down that reddish bit in the brown right there. Here's some more dark brown. Here is some reddish brown. Now, those are all pretty dark, so I need something that is a little bit lighter so there's contrast so you can see the feathers, and that's where this red comes in. It's going to be much lighter, and that's another reason why I have the green in there to sort of counter that red and neutralize it a little bit. I'm not sure, but I think I might be using just a touch of the blue. Again, that's to sort of neutralize and bring down the reds and oranges that are in some of the browns. Here is more dark brown. This one's a little bit textured. This is sort of the orangey brown I'm talking about. It's just a little bit on the orange side, so if I put blue next to it, that will take the edge off that orange tone. When I say orange, I actually mean amber. This glass is light amber opal wispy glass. The blue is actually more of a midnight blue. It's blue purple. I think I saved the tag for this one. Yeah, it's an Armstrong blue purple opal streaky. It's pretty dark. I didn't want anything that was too shocking blue, nothing too cobalty, and this one's pretty dark. So that's where I'm starting. I'm gonna get after it now. This I'm going to flip and put the other part of it on there. I made this last week out of Apoxie Sculpt on AR mesh, and now I'm just going to attach it with thinset. You don't have to cover the whole thing. I don't even have to spread it because when I turn it over and squish it down, it's going to smash all of the thinset underneath it into position. So now I'm going to let that set up and then I'll work on the rest of the petals. White sanded grout with yellow colorant. It is Colorant's brand Colorant, and it's slaking right now. So as soon as I'm done, I'm going to very carefully grout this side. I'm not going to tape it, and then once that's cleaned up, I will flip it and very carefully grout this side. One side at a time. Glamorous setup. Two heavy bins of glass are holding the sunflower upright. There's a plate underneath to catch any beads that spill. And I've got my yellow thinset, a paper towel, spreaders, tweezers, beads. Let me get after it. The mess really wasn't too bad. It mostly stayed contained on the lids to these bins. So let me put this on the plate. So this was full when I started. I used about half of this container. Talk for a minute about my beautiful sunflower project. So overall, I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I think it's beautiful, but there are some lessons learned, and I will not be making another one like this. So there are several reasons for that. One reason is because this particular substrate that I made on this stem is just a little too short. When I put it in the dirt about 6 inches, which is how long it needs to go to support the weight of the mosaic, then it only sticks up about 1 foot. And then the mosaic itself the flower seems a little bit too big for such a skinny thing. So it seems disproportionate to me, and I don't like that. Second of all, it does hold up just fine, but the proportions of it seem a little bit off. And then second of all, because I used thinset and mesh to make the substrate, it was a little bit bumpy. Then I used different thicknesses of glass. So it might be hard to see, but I have mirror bits, which are more thin. And then I used an art glass for some of it, which is much thicker. And so there are some places where it is quite sharp because of the difference in height. So combined with the bumpy unevenness of the handmade substrate and then the different thicknesses of glass, it's just something I can't really sell because it's too sharp, and I think people would cut themselves on it maybe. So I'm going to be keeping it. I do like it. I also feel like I spent a small fortune in beads on this project, and I like it. I'm going to keep it, like I said, but there's that to consider. Last of all, the whole time I was working on it, the edges were unfinished and very rough looking, and I am extremely pleased with how well the thinset and beads turned out. It really smoothed it out, it cleaned it up, and that part of it worked very, very well. So that's the sum up of this project. Like I said, I won't be repeating this because I don't like the proportions of it. But if I find a different staking system, maybe I'll try it again. That's it. You may have noticed these 2 mosaics that were in the background last week and this week. And I had a viewer request a little bit more information about these. Now, this particular project I showed in an earlier video. So I think I made the base in episode 62, and then I talked about this project in episode 64. So I'm not going to go over this again. If you're interested, I'll link those 2 videos down below in the description, and you can look at those. But this one, I don't know if I ever talked about, not sure when I made it, but I'll talk about it for just a minute. Let me flip the camera around so you can see. The title of this piece is Summer Chic, and it's a little summer chick, so I like that a lot. First of all, the dimensions on this are about 8 by 10 inches, and I made this project as a demo for my students. An example of how you could use different materials and also how you can layer materials. So the first things first, I used a scrapbook paper behind tempered glass to make this grass. And then I added some beads and some mirror bits in there. But that is how that part is done. And then for the eye itself, I used a piece of paper and I drew some sketchy lines on it and stuck that behind a piece of iridized textured glass. And then this was a bead, I think, and then this is a fruit ball. So I layered pieces on top after I layered it over the paper. I found a paragraph on summer on the internet, and then I printed it out and cut it up and laid it down. I tried to put the keywords, some keywords like easygoing, summer activity, and then I just collaged it down and cut out circles and put that, again, it's textured clear on top of it for that portion. So then over here on this part, I created this flower with beads, and then I grouted it with this bright yellow sort of whimsical color because it's a whimsical type design. And then after I grouted it, these reddish beads you couldn't see very well, so I ended up piling glue on top and layering beads on top of the grouted beads, and that looks much more vibrant with the color. I think there were just a few other elements I layered on top. So it was kind of about planning and how you were going to layer things, but like this piece is a piece of jewelry, and then I put a fruit ball on top of that, layered those two. I layered the heart on top, and then some glass and more fruit balls and the little tail feathers on top. So that's it. That's putting it together. Thanks for watching. See you next time.